Yes, guys, how are we doing? Welcome back to another video. Today, we've got the opposition fan preview for the big game. I can't believe I'm saying this already after the Bayern Munich game. You know, it feels like I've literally just gone to sleep and woke up after that match. But we've got a game tomorrow, big match, FA Cup semi-final, and I'm joined with Hal from the Chef United Way YouTube channel. Hal, how are we doing, man? Big game tomorrow.
Yeah, really excited. I actually set off today because I'm living in Cyprus, so I've got to get a plane. I've only just got back to Cyprus after watching the Blades against Cardiff. So madness, I'm an idiot.
Yeah, man, but you know, it's one of them in the FA Cup semi-final. You got to make the trip, and I'm sure, you know, there'll be City fans, Sheffield United fans who live outside the UK who've got to fly back for this one, man, because it's absolutely huge. Quickly, when was the last time Sheffield United was at Wembley for like a cup game rather than like a promotion game? Can you?
Right, that would be against Hull. So that would when Hull lost to Arsenal in the final. You might remember that year. What was that? 2015. So yeah. We scored 3 that day, but it wasn't quite enough. But we've had in my life had a lot of FA Cup semi-finals, League Cup, and playoff finals. So I've done this a fair few times.
Yeah, I mean that's a lot. To be fair, you know what I mean. I forgot about that. So that probably helped the football club, right? Because of course, you know, Wembley is an intimidating place. City go there pretty much every year, and we've seen sometimes when City go there, we've played a team that's maybe not been at Wembley for a long time, just blow them away. But if you know, especially the fans have been there before. The fans are not going there for a day out, right? You're not going. I imagine you're not going to Wembley tomorrow for a day out. You're going there to see if you can cause an upset. Am I right in saying that?
Nah, we're going for a day out. We are going. We're going with no hope, no expectation. It's promotion party. We're going to be on it. We're going to have a great time. To be honest, if we have a shot on target, we'll celebrate it like a goal. We are just going to enjoy the day because there's no embarrassment. Football's changed. This isn't like back in '92, you know, when the Premier League started. If Sheffield United were playing Man City then in an FA Cup semi, when we were both founding members of the Premier League, I'd be really thinking, okay, this is pretty even. We'll have a right go. The better team will win on the day. Manchester City's third team is better than Sheffield United's. We've got so many injuries. 2 of our better players can't even play because they're on loan from you. It's not a game where if we play this 100 times, we could maybe, my dad said exactly this. He said, if we play 100 times, we'll draw twice. So that's what some are thinking. I'm a little bit more hopeful than that. You know, maybe we could nick it. You know,
yeah. I think honestly, I think you guys should be a little bit more confident. I mean, City have been in the FA Cup semi-final under Pep Guardiola a fair few times, and we normally shit the bed. And the reason is because we always play the FA Cup semi-final after the quarterfinals of the Champions League. And Pep Guardiola heavily rotates his side. And I hear what you're saying about our second team, our third team. And people like to talk about it. But the reality is it's actually not that strong. Now, I get that it's probably still stronger than a lot of teams. But it's
Calvin Phillips, like Calvin Grealish.
But the problem
Lewis.
The problem is
Ruben Diaz, Laporte, Kyle Walker,
a lot of them
our hero.
First team. Yeah, a lot of them players are in our first team. And
all right, Alvarez instead of Haaland. I mean, young player of the World Cup winner.
That's what I mean. You know, there are a few players, I grant you, but not only that, you're playing players that have hardly played, and you know, when you're going into a big game, you do need players who have got the momentum and have played. And I'm only saying it because at the end of the day, the facts are there. We've been in this FA Cup semi-final a lot. He's rotated a lot, and most of the time we come out second best. So I don't know. You know, we played a game 2 days ago. I don't know when your last match was. You know, we played a game on Wednesday, Bayern Munich away from home. We put a lot into that game, as we always do in these Champions League quarterfinals. And I think you guys should go into the game with a little bit of confidence and thinking, you know, we could potentially. I don't want to set you up for disappointment. You know what I mean? I don't want to say this and then City beat you guys like 5-0, and then you're like, why did you tell us to get excited? I was just going to go there for a day out. I was there to enjoy myself. But I don't know. I think you guys should be a little bit more confident. I don't know.
Well, don't worry, mate. Nothing you could say could take away the way that we are approaching this game as fans. It's promotion party. Seriously, our aim is to get back in the Premier League. This is a sideshow. It's nice. It's a little bonus. It's helped us get out of a transfer embargo because of the funds we've made. through the FA Cup run. So as of yesterday, we're finally able to sign players again. Of course, the transfer window is slammed shut, so we can't. But it's nice to dream. And, maybe when we get back in the Premier League, it's not 100% certain yet, we'll actually be able to look forward to signing one or two players that will hopefully help us stay there. But that's the goal. That's the aim, promotion.
Yeah, before I come on to the sort of how well you've done in the Championship this season, and you have, talk to me about Tommy Doyle, McAtee, obviously on loan from City. City fans very excited about both players before they went on loan to you guys. Talk to me about how well they've done this season. Tell me whether you think they can maybe have a future at City, and then of course how big of a blow it is that they can't play in the game tomorrow.
Tommy Doyle's probably the easier one to start with because he's just been fantastic every single game. There was a time when Heckingbottom wasn't picking him and a lot of fans were scratching our heads. Maybe it was a masterstroke because he's come back in even better. He's like box to box. He's got a cracking long range shot. He puts his foot in. He is strong. His range of passing is fantastic. He's an exciting player, but also one that can get stuck in. There aren't too many players, certainly that we've had, that can do that. So he's a given. Doyle can go all the way if he wants to. So he's got a high ceiling, but arguably McAtee's got a higher ceiling. He's got tremendous feet. He's a technical wizard with the ball. He can do absolutely anything. He can get into the channels, but he can run through the middle as well. He's got a fantastic first touch. He just kills it. You can lump a ball, which you often see in the Championship, from a keeper all the way up, and he'll just cushion it down and maybe take it past the defender at the same time. And defenders in the Championship are like, where's he gone? Doyle's not going to do that, but Doyle can do all the other side of the game, which possibly is more useful if you're a team struggling. Doyle will be one who's going to get you stuck in. Do you necessarily, for example, if we had them both next season, which I don't think is very likely in the Premier League, would McAtee be more of a luxury because we might be backs to the wall quite a lot and having to get stuck in and win that ball back, second balls, maybe hitting teams on the break? You could argue that McAtee might be useful for hitting teams on the break, although we haven't really seen that burst of pace from him because he's playing deeper, but he certainly could offer something there. If I had a choice, I'd love them both. I actually did a video on McAtee. I did a video on both of them, but I did one on McAtee that I remember specifically just before the season started, and he actually started quite poorly for Sheffield United, particularly away at Luton. He had a really bad day. And I got probably the most grief I've got all season was for me strongly saying how much I believed McAtee would be a huge success this season. After his slow start, I remember people actually saying City have had our pants down. Well, obviously not the case because he's on loan, but that was sort of some of the criticism thrown at us and concerns around McAtee. He's totally transformed any of those doubters, of which I'm pleased to say no one at Sheffield United way was one of them. You can tell what he's got, and now he's showing it. They're both fantastic. We love them both. The fact that, just to finish this, answer your final question of this, the fact that they can't play, I think is wrong. I think for the experience for them, that benefits City, but also for the showpiece, for all the neutrals watching. Don't you want to see Sheffield United's best 11 have a go at arguably the best team in the world? And those two would be in it.
Yeah, it is a shame, obviously, for the lads and for you guys that they're not available. Obviously, it's the FA Cup rules, isn't it, that prohibit it. I've seen a lot of people say apparently City could have said yes, but there's nothing in the rules to suggest that's the case.
You're right.
And it's the FA's rules that have prohibited the players from playing in this game, which to me, I mean, at the end of the day, we just played a Champions League game against Bayern Munich and Cancelo played. So why can't Tommy Doyle play in an FA Cup semi-final? Of course, it's the FA's rules. They can do what they want. It just seems to me like in this day and age, I think we're at the point now where teams accept that loan players will play against you. And there's no, and if you really want to stop them playing against you, then put it in the contract when you loan the player. But for City, that wouldn't benefit the players because obviously you want to develop the players. But yeah, obviously from our point of view, it's one of them. For purely footballing side, I'm happy they're not playing, clearly, because I want City to play the weakest possible Sheffield United side. Why? Because I want to win this trophy. But as well, from a sort of Manchester City fan and a fan that believes that McAtee certainly has the potential to play for Manchester City, is probably not in the best development. That was one thing that actually I wanted to get out of you. Where did you see them potentially being able to break into a Manchester City side? I mean, you've seen City this season. Do you think that they've got the potential?
It's really tricky, isn't it? Because City are on another level. These are two of the better players in the Championship. but will that translate because of the competition at City? I do think they have both of them. And actually, a lot of Sheffield United fans would probably lean more towards Doyle, which might surprise you. But he's very consistent. McAtee, because he's a live wire, he's someone that can just do something special. You sometimes get those kind of players drift in and out of a game. But when he does something special, it's really special. However, we wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for something special that Doyle did against Blackburn Rovers.
I seen that, yeah.
I think they could step up? Yes, but it would require a lot of patience from fans and from coaching staff, because I think both of them still have a little bit more to learn. And that's why they should be loaned to Sheffield United again, at least one of them, because I think you can only loan one in the Premier League. So let's buy Doyle and loan us McAtee next season. That'd be ideal.
Well, I didn't know that's the rule. If that's the rule, that you can only loan one, then you've got to get one of them. But if I was Manchester City, I'd certainly providing the contracts are fine, and we're not in any desperate need to sell right now. I'd certainly be loaning one of them back to Sheffield United and probably the other to Burnley, to be honest with you, because obviously
good, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
See what they can do at the top flight.
Yeah, exactly. And let's be honest, right? McAtee, if he has a good year in the Premier League next year, God only knows what kind of transfer value you can put on his head. I remember that Ryan Brewster, was signed from Liverpool. Was it 25 million?
Yeah, 23.5, and he's out. He's injured.
Yeah, but he was signed off the back of very little first team games at Liverpool, and basically all on a academy, and I think like the under-20s World Cup or whatever it was for England. So if McAtee can have a good season in the Premier League next year, God only knows what China can. I mean, you're talking 25 million just to start, because the Ryan Brewster one was 20 million. So,
well, I think another example would be Morgan Gibbs-White, who was on loan with us last season, hasn't really had a chance, a few games at Wolves, to show before this season what he could do in the Premier League. But Forest took a huge financial punt on him. And I think McAtee, you could argue, would be, maybe a Doyle as well, talked about in a similar vein, just because of how much they did. Different players, but if we're talking about what they've achieved, arguably Doyle and McAtee have been in a side that's done better. So maybe there's even more talk about. But, money transfers are just getting crazy. Our record transfer when I was growing up was £1 million for years. And to me, that still sounds like a lot of money.
That's because it is fucking a lot of money. I want to go back to the championship then. Currently sat in second place, 82 points. Going into the season, what was your guys' ambition? Because I don't really follow the championship, to be honest with you, but I keep an eye on it. So I kind of know who's meant to be where they are. And I don't know whether I just got this one wrong, but was Sheffield United ever meant to be second?
Yeah, I mean, we only just missed out last season in playoff semis. So obviously you'd then say the teams that just miss out on promotion the previous season, you normally say, well, they'll be there or thereabouts. We had to get automatic. We can't win in the playoffs. We never have. And we've done it a lot. So financially, we had to. Our parachute payments ran out this season. We are struggling a lot. We haven't really been able to bring players in properly. Anil Ahmedhodzic we brought in for money. But other than that, it's been sort of loans and freebies for a while, because we kind of blew a lot of our budget in the Premier League. Well, you already mentioned Ryan Brewster. I'm not saying we blew the budget on Brewster, because that's not fair on Riyad. He's been injured. We haven't really had a chance to see what he can do. I think he's got a year left on his contract, and he's going to have quite a lot to do when he comes back from injury to make that investment worthwhile. No, we as Sheffield United we predicted we would be in the top two at the start of the season. A lot of fans did believe this would be our year. We've got a great squad when they're all fit. And when they're not, getting sent off against Burnley. So, for example, our goalkeeper hasn't played the last few games, our first choice. So he'll come back in. How fresh will he be, for this game? A few things like that are kind of on our minds. But yeah, we hoped for this, certainly.
Yeah, no, that's fair. And you get the prediction right. So going into the game, obviously, tomorrow, no McAtee, no Doyle, we've already spoke about. What players could cause Manchester City problems, to try and get goals? What players should City fans be worried about going into the game tomorrow?
Well, if he plays, Anil Ahmedhodzic. Now, the reason he might not play is his wife is due to give birth any day now.
Right. Okay.
He already missed one game for that. He might miss another. we are concerned about that because we don't have the bodies. If he's out, his backup is Chris Basham, who's out injured at the moment as well. He might make it back. Basham for that. He might make it back. You then also say one of our better players, Reece Norrington-Davis, but he's out injured. And he's sort of come in when we lost Jack O'Connell, one of our best players. He's out injured. So difficult at the back. I think that's where, if I was a City fan, I'd be looking to exploit Sheffield United's back line. It could be a back line that's never played together before, depending on who we have to shuffle in. We'll see. In the midfield, Oliver Norwood, he's got an incredible ping. If he plays, he's been on the bench recently, but I think he'll have to come back in for this, probably alongside maybe John Fleck and Sander Berge. On his day, Sander Berge's a lovely player to watch, a Rolls Royce in the Championship, but off his day, he just gets bullied. So I want to see him do a lot more. I want to see him assert himself early. If he does, because he's a strong, big lad, if he does show his strength early, he'll have a great game. If he doesn't, what happens with Sander is if his first touch, his first pass is bad, or he gets pushed off the ball, he just disappears sometimes, goes into his shell. If he doesn't do that, he will control things for us, hopefully. But the only real answer is Iliman Ndiaye, Skilliman Ndiaye, played against England for Senegal, an absolute superstar, a true baller, a natural talent, someone who's just been on this rise every single season, better and better and better. He is, and I'm just going to say it, the best player I've ever seen play for Sheffield United.
Jesus. Okay, I'll keep an eye out on him then. Ndiaye, yeah, see, I've got the team up for the Bristol game. So that's interesting. Ndiaye, okay, so he's and what sort of player is he then? Because I can't remember the Senegal game. He's a tall striker? Has he got technical ability? No.
Yeah, low to the ground. Diego Maradona. Think Hadji. Think players like classic players that could keep that ball. And you just can't get it off.
Are you having me on it? Is he going to turn up here tomorrow and not be able to kick a ball?
No. So, like the tall striker, you might want to see would be Ollie McBurney. He's more of a player that perhaps historically teams have lumped it towards. He's actually, great feet for a big man. He's actually much better on the floor, Ollie McBurney, than he is in the air. Although he does win stuff in the air, he's brave. He doesn't look particularly strong, but he'll put himself about if he plays. He's been off it recently. Billy Sharp might play, all 49 years old of him, but Skilliman is a number 10, really, kind of attacking midfielder who has been played up front just because we don't have the options up front. We've had too many players out like Jefferson, Asula, Brewster. Billy's been out for a bit. McBurney was out for a bit. So we've just sort of pushed him up front and he's been our top scorer. So it's worked. He scores goals. He can score all kinds of goals. He scored against Tottenham. Wonderful goal. He's like Harry Kane. Sometimes he shoots early. So the keeper won't know when to actually expect the shot. But the thing he's really good at is that close control, that dribbling ability. He's probably taught McAtee quite a bit. I think that would have been very useful for him to certainly train with Iliman Ndiaye. That's a real talent there. Someone who I think you'll really enjoy watching. Maybe not in this game, because I don't know how much possession Sheffield United will have, but next season, keep an eye out.
Yeah, I certainly will. Right, just to finish off then, what have you made of City this year? I don't know how much you've watched. Have you seen much of City?
It's hard enough with 46 league games in the Championship when you're doing a video every week to keep up with the teams in the Championship. So if you ask me about Reading, I probably know more. But I have watched a bit of City, and I always keep an eye on Kyle Walker because he's a blade, and we all love him. I still think City are the team that will win the Premier League. I still think City are the best team in the world. I've already said it. I'll say it again. I think player for player. Haaland's obviously incredible. The Disney princess. He's just fantastic and a new breed of footballer, the likes of which I don't think we've ever seen before. Every single one of City's players terrifies me. And obviously on paper, like I've said 100 times, City should win this game. And in the league, I think City will win the Premier League. I think City will win the Champions League. And I think City might win the FA Cup, but I don't want to say it because I'm still hopeful.
That's crazy. And you know what as well? Kyle Walker will probably play tomorrow as well. So that's
he'll probably score like he does in the way, like he did in the Premier League.
Yeah, so that'll be decent for him. And he's always spoke about going back to going back to Sheffield United. Once he's finished at City, and obviously he's only got 1 year left on his contract. It's 32 now, I think. So it depends on how. Is he going to honour that? Is he going to wait until he's 37, or is he could be there in a year or two? I mean,
Pep's already said he won't necessarily fit in the new system. So
But
exactly. one area we are quite strong in is right back. So we've got George Baldock, the Greek international, and we've got Jayden Bogle, who at the moment on terrible form, but on his day a decent player. So we'd have to get past those two. Well, you might laugh and think, well, obviously you will. In a way, you've kind of got to give the guys that got you up a chance to prove themselves, I think, sometimes. And you know, Kyle maybe could play centre-back, as he had done previously for us. And it's an option, isn't it? It's something we're not worrying about yet, but we'd love to see Kyle Walker back. He's a top lad.
Yeah, no, he certainly is. Look, mate, enjoy the game. Enjoy your day out. You told me quite categorically that you don't care. So if your team could lay down and get us into that final, because we, you know what I mean.
I don't think I actually said we don't care. I think we're gonna have a party. We're gonna have a promotion party, come what may.
Yeah. No, yeah, enjoy it, man. It's going to be a good one. And honestly, man, I'm going into this game nervous. You know, we do normally struggle in these FA Cup semi-finals. We put obviously a lot into the quarter-final, the Champions League against Bayern the other night. Some of our players were physically just fucked after the game. You could see Rodri at the end, just on his knees. You know, he couldn't move hardly. And Pep Guardiola said after the game that he's going to have to heavily rotate the team because of how tired they were. So I'm not going into this game. I mean, obviously, even with our second string, we should win, of course, as you pointed out. But it's not always the case, you know. And we have been done in this competition at this stage a lot. So I think you do have a fighting chance. And of course, you kind of come into the game as well, you know, with no real pressure in terms of, you know, everyone expects Man City to win. You know what I mean? City, there's only a lose-lose here for City, because if we go through, everyone's going to say, well, you should have gone through anyway. And if we lose, then fucking hell, it's another nightmare. I've got to get it in the ribs, you know what I mean, from United fans, Man United fans, that is. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it. And thank you for coming on, Hal.
Anytime.
And, guys, if you want to check out Hal at the Sheffield United way, of course, he said he's done videos in the past on McAtee, Doyle. And, yeah, if you want to see any sort of nice, happy fans right now, I mean, go over there, because they're buzzing at the moment. Guys, hopefully you've enjoyed the video. If you have, make sure you drop a like on it. Subscribe to the channel as well if you're new. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. We'll see you in the next one. See you in a bit.